In one of my recent videos, we looked at how modern movies are subtly training us to sympathize with real-world predators and conform like minions. But if we step back and look at the bigger picture, the rabbit hole goes much deeper. It's not just about a single movie. It's about the very infrastructure of the entertainment we consume. Have you ever stopped to think about the name of the studio behind the Minions? Illumination Entertainment. On the surface, it's just a nice corporate name celebrating the art of lighting up an animation screen. However, if you look at it through the lens of classical philosophy, it takes on a deeply symbolic, almost eerie second meaning. It points directly to one of the oldest theories of human psychological captivity ever written, Plato's Allegory of the Cave. If you aren't familiar, Plato imagined a group of prisoners chained inside a dark cave, forced to stare at a blank wall. Behind them, a massive fire burns. Between the fire and the prisoners, a group of unseen handlers carries puppets and objects. The light from the fire projects the shadows of the puppets onto the wall. Because the prisoners have been chained there their entire lives, they mistake the shadows for reality. They laugh, they cry, they get emotionally invested in shapes of dust and light, completely blind to the fact that they're captives in an artificial environment. Now look at a modern movie theater. A massive corporate studio literally illuminates a dark room, projecting moving shapes and shadows onto a wall, while an audience is entirely captivated in the dark. The movie studios create the fire. They're the ones illuminating the cave, dictating exactly what shadows we're allowed to look at. As long as those shadows are flashy, funny, and comforting, the prisoners have absolutely no desire to turn around and see who's holding the puppets. This concept isn't new to cinema, however. Our best filmmakers have been warning us about this exact architecture for decades. Think about Neo in The Matrix. He was living in a completely fabricated, digital shadow world built by an elite system specifically to keep humanity asleep, comfortable, and acting as a power source for the machine. Or we could look at Jim Carrey's character in The Truman Show. Truman is the ultimate prisoner of the cave. His friends, his career, his entire hometown, it's all a massive illuminated set managed by a creator named Christoph who literally sits in a control room in the artificial sky. Christoph manipulates the environment, the weather, and the relationships, projecting a safe, pleasant shadow reality for Truman, all because a global audience wants to be distracted by his life. Like Christoph says in the movie, we accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. But entertainment is only one layer of the matrix we built around ourselves. The cave requires multiple systems working in tandem to keep the masses pacified. Let's look at the movie WALL-E, for example. Remember the humans on the Axiom spaceship? They're the ultimate evolution of a population completely consumed by the shadows on the wall. They sit in floating chairs, completely isolated, staring at a screen floating inches from their faces. They don't look at the world around them, they don't look at each other, and they're entirely fed by a single corporate entity that pumps synthetic, ultra-processed food directly into their bodies. This isn't just science fiction anymore. It's a hyper-exaggerated mirror of our current reality. To keep a population from waking up to the power structures controlling them, you have to distract them at every sensory level. You do it through dopamine-driven, algorithmically tailored content on screens to keep their minds occupied. You do it through hyper-palatable, highly processed foods to keep the body sluggish, comfortable, and chemically dependent. A population that's physically exhausted, nutritionally depleted, and digitally overstimulated is a population that will never have the energy or the clarity to challenge the status quo. The media companies, the fast food conglomerates, the digital algorithms, they aren't separate entities. They're different pillars of the exact same system designed to maintain the cave. They keep us entertained, fed, and entirely distracted, ensuring that we stay content with our chains. In the ancient Allegory, Plato notes that if a prisoner ever broke free, turned around, and stepped out into the blinding light of the real sun, their eyes would hurt. The truth is painful, and trying to explain it to the people still staring at the wall would only make them angry. They would fight to stay in the dark because the shadows are comfortable. That being said, the question is no longer just who's making the movies we watch. The question now is how much of your life is real, and how much is just an illumination designed to keep you sitting quietly in your chair. So like I said at the start of this video, one of the videos I made recently was looking at the new Minions and Monsters movie because I've been seeing all the ads for it, and I wanted to break down that messaging of that movie specifically. But then looking at the studio behind it, my mind instantly clicked to, oh yeah, Plato's allegory of the cave and people just being distracted by the illuminated shadows on the walls, right? And if we want to go even deeper, you could talk about the Illuminati, which would be the illuminated ones, the people who would be in the light or understand what's going on in the world around them, kind of like Christoph in the Truman Show, or the architect in the Matrix, right? That same kind of character that understands what's going on a deeper level, but is working to keep the masses distracted and, docile, right? But that's why I really haven't been engaging with much modern corporate media, I guess. I don't watch the news. I really don't watch mainstream movies anymore. If I want to watch a movie, I usually go back to the 90s, because not only are a lot of the stories better, but then you also get that classic like film grain with it, and it's just more nostalgic. But even that's getting more rare. Like, I'd rather watch real people through YouTube and connect like that, but I don't know, this is just where my brain goes to and how my brain works. Constantly thinking of the next thing, constantly processing the things that I'm taking in, and trying to analyze them, whether I like them or not, and why that is, right? And I hope that other people can do the same as well, because I think we've kind of lost that in the world, is people really reflecting on what they think and they feel, and why they think and feel it. But anyway, this is all food for thought. I don't want the video to go on too long, I'll leave it here for now. But if you enjoyed, make sure to drop a like and a comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any of my new videos. The two that I put out recently haven't got any views, so if you're already subscribed or you're going to sub, make sure to hit the notification bell so you know when I upload my videos, because I don't know if YouTube's gonna push them to people if you're not actively looking for them or trying to get notified about them. You know what I mean? Which is frustrating, but that's also part of the system that we're enslaved to, you know what I mean? If you're not talking about the right things, then they're not gonna push you as much as someone who's pushing the bread and circus of it all, right? But like I said, I'll leave it here for now. I hope you enjoyed, and like I say at the end of all my videos, I love you, stay safe, good luck, and take it easy.